Hi, everybody. The time is now to prepare for a tornado emergency moving across the south as we head throughout the rest of our day and into the overnight hours. And yes, overnight tornadoes are possible. Please stay locked in right here as we are going to keep you posted on what's coming in. And as you can see back toward the west, as of this taping, there are several tornado alerts already in place for this major line, this outbreak of tornadoes. And a particularly dangerous tornado watch box has just been issued for Alabama. This tornado watch will be valid for many more hours, and reading the details on it, looking specifically at this is a particularly dangerous situation. Tornado emergencies are already happening back toward the west, and I have reports here of more than a dozen lives lost in this tornado outbreak so far. The key takeaway here is intense supercells capable of producing tornadoes will spread east from Mississippi into Alabama this afternoon and evening, and then from Alabama into Georgia. Given the very favorable environment, multiple intense and potentially violent tornadoes of EF3 and EF4 plus strength appear possible. Clusters of thunderstorms and embedded supercells will also pose a threat for severe damaging winds. Hail could be in excess of 1.5 to 2.5 inches. This tornado watch is in approximately along the 65 miles there from 20 miles of Huntsville. Simply put, folks, this has the makings of an extremely dangerous night taking shape across the south here, and we're going to be watching this every step of the way as this rolls on through. So watching it closely right now, you can see there are already dozens of particular tornadoes, and you see this pulsing color down here. This is actually tornado action that's happening on the ground right now. Now, please, this is not a live broadcast, so I want to be careful at showing you this. My point in showing you this, I will go live, so make sure you check our page, but my point in showing you is this is just a sampling of what is to come for Alabama into Georgia, and if it can hold together into the Carolinas. And if you're watching right now from Greenville to Spartanburg to Anderson, there are no current alerts for us, but there will be. I do anticipate us going under some sort of tornado watch later on this evening, and that will carry over into the overnight. My commitment to you is I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm going to be watching every single cell and letting you know what's happening as it unfolds. So the best way to stay safe is to stay right here locked on this page where you're watching from right now. Should a tornado watch be issued, WYFF4, we're going to have you covered. Like this video, comment where you're watching from, and please hit the follow or the subscribe button, and it wouldn't hurt to turn on those notifications so that you can stay put and have that alert go on your phone when it's issued. So let's look specifically at the threats. This was freshly issued by the Storm Prediction Center, and I got to say their consistency has been right there. They've been steady this whole time with this area back through Alabama and Mississippi that's underway with tornado emergencies as we speak, with an extreme risk. This is the highest risk for severe weather that we have on our table down here. And what's going to form here is going to likely try to be long track, continuing through Mississippi, Alabama, and into Georgia. That very high risk for tornadoes goes up to the Atlanta metro area. The high risk for tornadoes and severe weather goes closer to the upstate here. So you're going to have a line that's going to be trying to weaken as it goes toward the east tonight after midnight. It's a question of how much does it weaken while it does. Now, I want to keep in mind, like you saw in that particularly dangerous tornado watch box over Alabama, the hatched area here means that EF2 or greater tornadoes are possible. Not only tornadoes, but strong tornadoes are possible. Not to say you can't get it outside of there, but certainly most likely in these areas. Folks, this is a devastating blow. And folks, my prayer is not only that this will just fall apart, but my prayer is for you that are watching right now, that your hearts will remain calm. Talked about this yesterday, that I say prayers for my heart to remain calm, to be calm, cool, collected during a situation so that I can lead my family, so that I can lead viewers through this situation, and hopefully that can help you as you kind of prepare your family. The time is not to be scared, okay? It's to be prepared. And I know in these situations, the unknown is certainly what gives you probably some anxiousness, but I can tell you that we've got you covered, and should something happen, you'll be aware of it in plenty of time. But the key here is to make sure you have those plans in place. If you live in a mobile home, it's probably a night you go spend the night with a friend, a loved one. Maybe get a hotel room for a night, because the wind and the tornado risk that we have, it's not like this is every week for us. This is once or twice a season, okay? And not only the tornado risk, but the wind risk is high. Notice this little quadrant here across Tennessee. That is an upgrade here. That's a 45% chance of 74 or greater mile per hour winds. That gets into southwestern North Carolina as well. And I know we are also weary broadcasting here from the Western Carolinas of what Helene did to our area. So any wind of any kind is unwelcomed here. But here we go. We're going to have to watch this very closely tonight. And then looking at tomorrow, that threat as we go past 8 a.m. ramps up east of the Western Carolinas. We're in the clear, but Charlotte, Columbia, eastbound through eastern North Carolina, Raleigh, down to Myrtle Beach, to Charleston, to Savannah, Georgia, to Jacksonville will be under the risk for severe weather. Brand new computer model, maps it out. I've got new data here, there, and everywhere, okay? Let's look at the way the model unfolds. I mean, each one of these is a supercell that's happening right now and will likely continue to happen as we move forward here. So nighttime tornadoes inevitable. Here we are at 8 p.m. This line is now leaving Mississippi. And I'm afraid what we'll find behind in Mississippi is destruction in many areas. My heart goes out. Knowing what I'm seeing on the radar, I know that there are communities that are just going through the unimaginable right now. And that is hard for me. I know it's hard for you. We need to watch this closely. We need to watch this as we move forward, that it could be on the really dicey side moving into tonight. All right, going into Alabama, you've got that rolling on through. Same time frame, 10, 11 o'clock. Midnight. Here we are at midnight. It's over parts of Birmingham and approaching Atlanta. Here we are at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. All right, I'm going to run that through again, but I'm going to do it closer in for those of you watching right now, just so you have a timing. It's while we're sleeping. Don't worry. I mean, I'm going to be awake. I'm going to be watching it. Should a warning happen, make sure you have your phone on. You can receive those warnings. Great time to download the WYFF4 mobile app and to have that ready to go so that you kind of have that in and ready to rock. Here we go. The time frame has been anywhere from midnight, as early as midnight, to as late as about 5, 6 a.m. Look at these little mini supercells. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, it could be a really rough night for us, folks, into the morning hours. Here we are, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. It's rolling on through. I want to show you a map here presented by NATOcast. Now, this is a experimental model that uses AI to correct itself. I want to show you two. This is the chance for a tornado. As you can see, it's centered right over Birmingham and then stretches out. This mimics very closely with where the Storm Prediction Center has their outlook for tonight, but it also stretches into parts of the Carolinas. I want to show you the color-corrected version of that. This is their color-coded corrected version. This one matches the Storm Prediction Center. This one just is kind of their raw data. And it does show a higher risk for tornadoes along the I-85 corridor, indicating that whatever forms here, I've seen this time and time again. 2011 Tuscaloosa tornado, that same cell moved into Macon County, North Carolina, in our viewing area, the Western Carolinas. My fear is that what storms do form down here, now they will not look the same, all right? They will not be the same, but the long track nature of these supercells could hold together, and then just the trajectory would send them into this area. So that's why I don't like what I'm seeing on this map, but I do like this map a little bit better than, say, a map like this. It's just kind of harsh cutoffs here, because I don't think it's as easy as that. If I'm drawing a map like this myself, I'm drawing it to kind of extend out and then extend way out, because I do think there's going to be some cells that are rolling through like this down the I-85 corridor, and they keep going. It's unlikely that it would just kind of stop right there at the South Carolina line. It would probably continue, and I like the way this kind of nudges it out right at the foot of the mountains. So right here, as elevation goes up, is where these storms, as I know, when you're spinning a top, here's the top of my Yeti, as you're spinning a top, it's going to try to find the path of least resistance going through. And it's not going to want to go in a hard direction. It's not going to go up into the mountains. It's also not going to go way down in the valley. So it's going to kind of go where it can. And I'm afraid that what happens back here in this hot spot, which has always been over Birmingham, would try to threaten the Atlanta metro area and then get into parts of the upstate. Here are those tornado ingredients later today. This thing's really going to start cranking around this afternoon late. I mean, it's cranking right now. I don't know what time you're watching this, but this thing really takes on another life form tonight. And what forms here is going to try to hold on into Atlanta. I want to show you this. This is the rotating tracks, basically storms that could be rotating. Doesn't necessarily say exactly where a tornado will be, but it gets close. Folks, look at Mississippi and Alabama. I mean, this is a coverage of almost, the entire state seeing some sort of impact. It doesn't mean it's going to go right over your home, but most of Mississippi, a lot of Alabama, a lot of Georgia, and these long track natures are my concern. Birmingham, north. Now, I will tell you a trend that I've noticed today. There are a lot of severe storms down here, and there are a lot up here. I think the models here are a little too far south, meaning that some of this activity could be up in this area. All right, just something I'm watching right now. So the key here, folks, is to stay dialed in, to know that this is an emergency situation in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia tonight. Does it make it into the Carolinas? Some of it probably will. And the time frame of it will be after midnight and probably before 5 or 6 a.m. Know that I'm going to be with you every step of the way, alerting you on air, online, as they do come through. But you've got to have a way to be alerted, right? That means having your phone on not on silent, and just having a way to kind of receive those warnings. It's one of those nights, and I tell folks, hey, this is not every day, okay? We may go several years without a threat this high across the Southeast. So whatever you're thinking about doing, if you're hesitant, maybe you're in an RV temporarily, a mobile home. If you're thinking, this has missed us before, and you have an option to go to a friend's house or you have an option to go to a hotel, I think I would exercise that. I would do that tonight. Again, it's not like we have this every 5-10 days. We have in certain severe weather seasons, but I don't see that for a while here. So I guess my take-home message to you is one night. It's one night of our life. It's not like it's, a school night. So I mean, I know people are busy, and I know finances are tight, so going to a hotel isn't an option for everyone, but reach out to some friends, reach out to your church. There are people that will be willing to lend a hand and get to a more sturdy home tonight. That would be my take home, if you will. And think about Helene, folks. Remember the lessons we learned from Helene. Do you have some big trees on one side of your house? Maybe you're sleeping on that other side of the house. Maybe it's going to grandma, grandpa's for the night. Okay, just think through what your family's plan will be. And I have a video I did yesterday that talks about storm anxiety and then the tangible things you can do to combat that. Having a plan, having your safe place in your home set, and have things ready in it. You don't want to have a cold, hall closet, right? You want to have some toys in there, a flashlight, a lantern, some kids' games, maybe a pillow so they can go back to sleep. But also thinking about if something is coming your way. A bicycle helmet's not a bad idea to have in there. Put it on the kiddos. I mean, I have 3 young ones, and shoes nearby so that if something does happen to your home, you're not walking over broken glass. Just things like that in the moment you're not going to think of, but right now as you're preparing, put some of the shoes near the closet. Put some of the board games you have, and maybe throw a couple of bicycle helmets in there so that, hey, when this thing's rocking and rolling tonight, you're not having to think about that then. Because it could be in the middle of the night. You're getting woken up from a deep sleep only to have minutes to get to your safe place. And knowing how we were in 2020, I don't want to say this is the Seneca, Clemson, Pickens tornado event because each storm is different. But look at the lessons learned there. Many of you told me after I went into your homes and saw what had happened that it was minutes. You saw me on TV, the power went out. You knew that at that point you had to get under your dining room table. And I heard stories of, those attics that flopped down, the attic falling down, all the insulations being pulled into the living room with them. I mean, terrifying events. But if you ask people, what I have heard walking through events with people like this is it happens so fast. That's the one thing you hear from people time and time again. So the key here is to get as much of that preparation done as you can now while it's nice out and you're just kind of chilling. If you don't have to use it tonight, fantastic. I hope and pray that's something we get. But just getting an alert here that that particularly dangerous situation, tornado watch, will probably be extended into parts of Georgia as we go into this afternoon. So, folks, my prayers are with you. Stay tuned. Stay up to date. This is one of many updates I'll do later today, and look for that live update as we move forward. You can ask me some questions.